Hello, everybody. We are going to be looking at graphing with transformations today. We're going to keep it on the fairly simple side for what we need. We're going to deal with three things. We're going to be looking at just three basic equations: y equals x squared. You already know what that looks like. Y equals absolute value of x, which you should know what this looks like, but just in case, you have a V shape there. Both wings of this absolute value graph are lines with a slope of 1, 1 on the right and -1 on the left. And then y equals square root of x, which will start at the origin and come up like that. And it is the top half of a sideways parabola. So we're just going to use those three equations, and then we're going to do um, some transformations on these graphs. So the first kind of transformation we're going to do is vertical, and we'll do a vertical translation, or you could just say a vertical shift. And this is the easiest. Well, I don't know. A couple of them are pretty easy here, but something you should already be familiar with. If I want to graph this parabola and it's x squared minus 3, you want to think of the regular x squared parabola, but we want to drop it 3 units. So we'll just come down here, and there we go. So what I want you to notice about this is that the number being added or subtracted comes after the work of the function is done, right? So I think of the function here as the action as being the squaring action. And so once I've done that, then when I add or subtract, that's going to raise or lower the graph vertically. So let's get this extension here. There we go. All right, so that's a vertical shift. If we want to do a horizontal shift, yeah, there we go. This is the most complicated of the three things that we're going to do. And similar to a vertical, there's going to be some addition or subtraction. So let's say I take the absolute value of the quantity x minus 2. The difference here is that the subtraction is inside the function, right? The function is the absolute value, that's the command. And so when I'm inside there, I'm doing the adding or subtracting before I do the absolute value. That's going to give me a horizontal shift. Now, the interesting thing here is that it is not the minus 2 that we care about. What we care about is the number you would put in for x that would make this thing equal 0. That's the key feature on any of these horizontal shifts. So on this particular graph, the magic number would be x equals 2. And so I come over on the graph to x equals 2. And from there, I graph it, right? It's an x number that we're looking for. So when you say that x equals 2, that tells you exactly where to go on the graph. X equals 2 is going to be where the vertex is. All right, we'll extend this page a little bit more. If we want to put those two commands together, we'll do a square root graph. Square root of x plus 1, and then we'll go minus 2 out here on the end. Okay. So what I recommend that you do is just write down the vertex to start with. So a lot of times kids try to do too many things at once, and uh, that gets you messed up. It makes it easy to make mistakes. So for the x value, again, I'm coming here. What will make that square root equal to 0? And I need a -1 in there to do that. That's my x coordinate. For the y coordinate, I'm going to come out here and see what the shift is. That shift is down 2. And so that's where my vertex is at -1, -2. So on my graph, -1 for x, -2 for y. There is the vertex. And then from there, I'm going to graph that square root graph, which is top half of a sideways parabola. For the sake of this assignment, this kind of work, I'm not worried about extra ordered pairs along this. I'm only focusing on uh, getting the vertex in the right place and the graph shape and the direction that the graph opens. Right? So those are the three things. Where's the vertex? What's the shape of the graph? And then what direction is the graph opening, up or down, is all you got to worry about there. We'll add that as the last thing. And this is something that I know you've already learned. But if I put a negative in front of a y equals x squared, then that parabola is going to open downward. Okay, so that's the third and final thing, is putting a negative in front of the function to flip it over a horizontal line. So if we want to look at one that has everything in it, let's go with negative x plus 3 squared plus 1. So my vertex is going to be at x equals -3, y equals 1. So that will be right there. And then it's a parabola because of the x squared. It's got a negative in front, so it's opening downward. So that's what I want to see for that graph. Okay. Let's look at one more. Let's go negative square root of x plus 2 plus 3. So the vertex is going to be at -2, +3. And so we've got the vertex right there. And then when you have a negative square root graph, instead of graphing the top half of a sideways parabola, you actually graph the bottom half. And that's what our graph is going to look like. Right? So with the absolute values and the parabolas, it's pretty easy. You're opening up, you're opening down. With the square root graphs, it's a little bit different. You're graphing the top half or the bottom half of the sideways parabola. All right. Well, you've got a worksheet with some of these to do and solutions, and hopefully that'll all go well for you. And if not, you'll just let me know and we'll get it figured out.